Hello students, welcome to this online course of Strength of Materials. So in the previous lecture we have discussed about the behavior of the member under any applied torsional moment or any applied torque. So we have seen how the fiber is going to be twisted if we are going to apply a torsional moment, and we have seen how the angle of twist will become like for different points. We have seen this with the help of like what we have done. Actually we have plotted some lines on the surface of the member, and after applying the twist we have checked the change in that locations, and we have seen that the twisting was there and the angle of twist came out to be theta. So we have tried to analyze the behavior of the member under any applied torque. So let us try to develop the theory or any formula which will be helpful for us to analyze the members applied to external torque. So today we are going to derive the equation, the torsional equation, just like we have done for the moment equation. So before moving to the formula, what we have to do, we have to check the assumptions, because any theory will have the assumptions. Like we will make the cases standard case, and then we will see like if in the real scenario how we can change these assumptions to derive our the formulas for the real cases. So what are the assumptions? So torsion theory, and it is strictly for the axis symmetry sections. This I have already told you, because for non-axis symmetry cases the analysis will become very complex, even like it is not in the scope of this syllabus also. So the cases should be strictly axis symmetry, and mostly we will be seeing only the circular cross section, either solid or hollow. So the torsion equation we will derive will apply only to, so it is already written here, so don't panic in the examination. If at all any question is going to come, it will be of a circular section only. It can be solid or hollow, that is the different case, but it will be a circular section. So we will make the following assumptions while deriving the equation. So let us try to understand what are the assumptions. So the sections that are plane before twisting remain so after twisting and do not warp. That means if this is a cross section, it will remain plane, it is not going to warp like this, or any other section it will not take. The shape is going to be same before twisting and after twisting. Okay, so this must be, you must understand this. Circular section remains circular after twisting. Okay, this is the case because no warping is there, so this cross sectional the cross section will remain as it is before and after twisting. Now straight radial lines in transverse section remain straight after twisting. So just try to remember the previous case. So what we have done, we have plotted the straight lines. So after twisting, these straight lines are going to be straight only. Okay, this will twist, but the orientation will be straight only, it is not going to be a curvilinear. Okay, it will be strictly straight. So why we are doing this? To make our analysis simple, because whatever assumptions we are making, in actual reality the beam is not going to behave like this, but we have to do something for the analysis part. We have to simplify our analysis, we have to generate the results. So that is why we are assuming the things, so that at least we are having some kind of analysis for the design of the member. Now stresses in the material do not exceed the proportional limit. That means Hooke's law will be valid for the whatever case we are going to deal. So the stresses will be up to the proportional limit. The shaft is loaded by twisting couple perpendicular to the axis of the shaft. So this we have discussed already in the previous lecture, how the twisting is going to come into picture. Now relative rotation between any two sections is proportional to the distance between them. This we will be seeing while deriving the equation. And the material is homogeneous and isotropic, so that we can take the values of various physical parameters as constant as they are. Now, after assumptions, let us move for the derivation part. So we are considering a shaft. So you can see this is the shaft, this is the length, radius of cross section is r. So initially, before applying the torque, the section was AB. Now after twisting, the section has become AB dash. Okay, so this is AB dash after twisting, this is before twisting. So this is some kind of circular cross sectional shaft. So the line AB on the surface of the shaft gets twisted in the form of helix. So this is simple, while the section is going to be twisted by the external applied torque. Assuming point A to be fixed, so this is, here it is fixed, this is some kind of wall, you can assume, or whatever in any machine it is fixed. So point B moves to B dash. The radial line OB taking up the new position OB dash in the same plane and remaining straight. So what is actually happening? There are two types of rotation is happening. One is on the surface, so you can see this is the twisting, and another is here in this cross section. What has happened? This was OB and this has become now OB dash. So here also the twisting has happened. Now how can we relate these two things? So this is phi and this is theta. What is common here? This BB dash is an arc. So this arc length will be same if we are considering the OB and B dash, and it will be same for A, B and B dash. That means BB dash will be the same from whether side you can choose, it will be same only. So angle phi is there, it is between AB and B dash. So for like if theta is very very small, because this twisting is not going to be in 30 degree and 40 degree, it will be very very small. You will see in the numericals it will be 0.5, 0.05, 0.03 degrees. So it is very very small. That means phi is nothing but BB dash by L, or you can see from tan theta. So what is tan theta? Tan phi will be what? BB dash by L, if we are taking BB dash as straight, because for very very small angle BB dash will appears to be straight. Just to make you understand, I am showing it like curve, but actually it will be, we can idealize this to a straight line. So BB dash is okay. So for smaller angles tan theta is equal to theta, so phi will become BB dash by L. So from here you can see BB dash is L phi, and again from this side, this circular arc, it is equal to R into theta. So from here we are having a relationship between theta and phi. Phi is nothing but theta into R by L. I think this is clear up to this point. So it means, so for we have taken for a very large portion, but for any smaller section, like the distance is dx. Okay, so for that this is going to be something like this. So this is d theta. So if this is true for the bigger curves, so it will be valid for smaller distance also. So for very very small section over this surface, phi will be equal to R into d theta by dx. So let me just show you in a clear manner, so that you are not going to be confused. So let us say this is any section. At a small r, we are taking a very small smaller element. So for this is, and this is something like this. So for this thing also, if this is phi is going to be same, it is constant, because we are taking the element along this. Okay, so it will be phi into R d theta by dx. So phi is nothing but this, it is a strain, shear strain, because it is on the surface, parallel to the surface, and d theta by dx is the angle of twist per unit length. Okay, d theta by dx or theta by L is the angle of twist per unit length. Now if the tau is the shear stress associated with phi s, so how we can relate? This formula is phi s is equal to tau by g. This we have already seen in the first chapter. But why we are able to write this equation? Because of the assumption. What was the assumption? The stresses are within proportionality limit. That means this is due to Hooke's law. Okay, Hooke's law is valid. That's why we are able to write this. If Hooke's law is not valid, we cannot write this. But here Hooke's law is valid. So stress is proportional to strain, and we can easily write tau s, phi s is nothing but tau by g. Now we have seen phi s is equal to tau by g, or tau is g into phi s, and this phi s can be related to r and r theta and dx. So from the previous thing here, you can see this phi we have put r into d theta by dx. So this is okay. So we are having a relationship between tau and tau is nothing but g into d theta by dx into r. So g is the constant, d theta by dx will be also a constant, angle of twist per unit length will also be constant. So tau will become proportional to r. It is a linear variation with respect to r that we are going to see, but just now I have given you some idea of this. Wait. So this relationship we have derived the relationship between tau g, how tau is going to vary with r. Okay, this is the very important relationship we have derived. Now the shear stress act in the direction of the displacement, that is tangential to the circle of smaller radius r or perpendicular to the radial line. Now setting angle of twist per unit length, this d theta by dx as theta by L, what we are having? Tau by r is equal to g into theta by L. So as I have told you, this angle angle of twist per unit length will be a constant. Okay, so for we are taking for a whole body, whole member, angle of twist for the whole member over a length L. So this is a very important relationship between tau and g. So tau is nothing but tau by r is equal to g theta by L. Now we have arrived at two important conclusions regarding shear stress distribution in shaft. What is this? First, the shear stress tau at any point in the cross section is proportional to the distance of the point along the radius. So if this is the shaft, so tau is going to be like this, something like this. It is going to be a linear variation, not like this linear variation with respect to r. So if you are moving here, this is r, so tau will be something like this. So in the coming slides you will see in a very clear manner. And shear stress acts perpendicular to the radial line. What does this mean? If this is radial lines, the shear stress is perpendicular. You can see here this is radial line, shear stress is perpendicular to this. So in this way we have derived a very important relationship between tau, theta and g. So in the next lecture we will derive the complete torsional equation. So this is all for today. Thank you.